The mind's chatter can be understood as the result of the interaction between Kala, or time, and the three gunas called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is clarity, balance, understanding, and light. Rajas is activity, restlessness, ambition, and constant movement. Tamas is inertia, ignorance, laziness, and delusion. The human mind is not a single unified thing. It is a field where these three gunas constantly interact, combine, dominate, and recede. This interaction is not static. It unfolds over time, and that unfolding is Kala. So the chatter of the mind is not random. It is the sound of gunas moving within time. When Rajas is strong, the mind chatters about the future, about what to gain, what to fear, what to achieve, what others think, what might happen. When Tamas is strong, the mind chatters in darker ways: confusion, resentment, self-pity, anger, delusion, endless internal arguments, imagined conflicts, and distorted thinking. When Sattva is strong, the mind becomes quieter, clearer, more observant, less reactive. The important point is that the chatter is not you in the deepest sense. It is the gunas operating in the mind over time. But because of Ahamkara, the ego, a person says, I am thinking, I am worried, I am angry, when in reality Rajas is agitated, Tamas is clouding, and Sattva is either present or absent. A person who is predominantly under Rajas and Tamas, in simple terms, an adharmic or wicked person, will experience endless mental chatter because Rajas creates constant desire and agitation, while Tamas creates ignorance and delusion. Such a person will think constantly but understand very little. The mind will argue, justify, blame, fantasize, fear, and scheme without end. Even if such a person gains wealth or power, the chatter will not stop, because the source of the chatter is not lack of success but imbalance of gunas. Rajas keeps the fire burning. Tamas keeps the person blind to the fire. So the mind becomes like a machine that never turns off. In contrast, when Sattva begins to increase, the mind starts to see its own chatter. There is a gap between the thoughts and the observer. That gap is the beginning of freedom. But even Sattva, according to the old philosophies, often increases fully only through grace, meaning through circumstances, suffering, guidance, devotion, or inner maturity that the person did not entirely manufacture by ego alone. Many people try to silence the mind by force, but force is usually Rajas, and suppression often turns into Tamas. So the chatter goes underground and comes back again. This is why tolerance is necessary: tolerance of one's own mind, tolerance of phases of confusion, tolerance of waiting. Over time, if a person does not feed Rajas excessively through endless desire and does not sink into Tamas through negligence and ignorance, Sattva slowly becomes stronger. As Sattva becomes stronger, the mind's chatter reduces, not because the person strangled the mind, but because the gunas have shifted their balance over Kala. The person then realizes that most thoughts were never truly under their control. They were movements of nature. This realization itself reduces Ahamkara, the ego that claims, I am the thinker. When that claim weakens, the chatter weakens further, because the fuel of the chatter is the constant personal identification with every thought. The gunas created the chatter. The gunas will quiet the chatter, and Kala is the field in which this change happens. Without Sattva, the mind will chatter endlessly. With Sattva, the mind becomes clear. And when the mind becomes clear for long enough, the person begins to see that the chatter was never the true self in the first place, only the noise of gunas moving through time. But this is something the wicked, who are born predominantly with Tamas and Rajas gunas, will never understand.